So I wanted to make a quick video going over the literature review planner because this is an assignment that sometimes throws people. Again, if you are not super familiar with this particular type of assignment of what a literature review is, what the purpose of a literature review is, I recommend that you Google it and read a little bit about this genre of writing and also maybe check out some samples of it. Different teachers are going to have different requirements if you're ever asked to write another literature review, but the basic idea of it, you can certainly find examples and explanations of it by checking it out online. Um, Essentially, what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be starting your preliminary research with the two sources that you've already found, and you're going to be synthesizing and evaluating them and using those two sources to guide you into the information that you might need to look for next. Um, and to give you an idea of the project as a whole that you're going to be working on in your informative paper in the second unit. So, I just want to go over a couple points here on this paper copy of the planner. You'll be submitting it in quiz format, so you'll be typing up these answers, but you are more than welcome and in fact encouraged to download this document, print it out, keep it on your computer, have it up on your computer and maybe type up your answers in a separate document, however you want to do it. I would recommend trying to answer these questions a little bit before submitting them in the quiz format because this gives you a chance to sort of think about what you want to say. So, just to go over these different questions, the background and importance of the topic, here you're going to explain in a couple sentences a little bit about the topic, especially if people need to know something about it, they may not be aware, and why it is an important issue to delve into right now. This question always confuses people. Scope of the literature means what is out there. You only found two sources that you're going to be particularly evaluating in depth, but you did do research. So, as you were looking, what kind of things did you notice? Was it difficult to find academic articles? When you Googled it, were there a million current news stories? Is this primarily something that is covered in academia? Or are you noticing it's all in popular magazines? Scope of the literature means an overview of the different types of sources that exist on your topic. So, what is out there? The objective of the paper, this is like your thesis. What topic do you wish to research and why? So, it's a pretty easy thesis for this particular paper. What are you interested in researching as a topic and why does it grab you? Why do you think it's significant and important? Here in the research questions section, you're just going to list the research questions that you came up with. So that's something you're working on for even the source evaluation. What are those three questions? Here under reflection, I don't want you to answer the questions. I want you to explain why that's an important question to answer. So if your question is, well, I want to know how many students were asked to switch to distance learning or how many school districts switched to distance learning during the pandemic. If that's a question that you ask, I don't want the answer. I want you to say, this is an important question to get out in the background because I want to know how much of the population was affected. Your question goes here, and your reflection as to why it's an important question to ask goes underneath. Research review. Source one, this is the title of your first source that you found. Main idea, couple sentences using that summary language. This article explains, this article by so-and-so explains. You can include the title, the author, the publication year. This is going to be sort of your couple sentences where you explain basically what's happening in the article. Why is it relevant and significant to your research? Why is this a good source for your research? And what is good or not so good about it? Evaluate. Try and give a strength and a weakness. Then you're going to do the exact same thing with your second source. The reflection section, explain what you learned about the topic by doing the research. This is one of those times where if your answer is I already knew a lot, that's maybe not. Like, try and come up with something like, what else did you learn? What new things do you now know about your topic? What patterns or themes do your sources reveal? This means, what are you noticing? Are you noticing that people, by and large, trust the Pfizer COVID vaccine or the Moderna COVID vaccine? Are you noticing, by and large, that a theme is that the medical community 100% supports the vaccinations coming out in the time frame that they did? What patterns or themes do your sources reveal? What are you noticing? What trends are happening? If you pick something like distance education during COVID 19, and every article you find says something along the lines of students who are economically disadvantaged feel like they're left behind, that is a pattern or theme that you might want to explore. What gaps were found in the research? What more do you need to find? Could you only find news articles? Could you only find academic articles? Could you only find articles from one point of view? Gaps are you going to need to fill in? And how will you adjust your research methods or focus? What are you going to do next? Are you going to look for more articles using the library databases to bolster up your not as academic sources? Are you going to use Google Scholar to find some studies to back you up? How are you going to change your patterns? Overall, so these are two really good ones right here in the conclusion to explain. Overall implications of the research. That means overall, what is being said here? And the overall implications and the significance of research findings are questions that kind of blend together. What does this research mean? What does it mean that there are a ton of news story articles about this right now? And then why is that significant? Here in your conclusion, you're going to explain sort of why why what you found matters, and why it's significant. Think about this as the reason we should care. Like, what trends are you noticing? If you're doing something like climate change, and one of the implications is that things are getting ramping up to be much worse than they had even in the past couple of years, then a significance that you might have is you might draw the conclusion that the suggestion is we need to change our behavior patterns. This is where you talk a little bit about what you found, what it suggests, and why that matters.